Boys, the plan is simple. I come to you guys today with one of the most powerful, resilient, and hardest decks I have ever had the displeasure of ever trying to play. This is Dragon Link. This deck has been around since 2018 and has been a stickler of the format, really coming in and out of formats as one of, if not the most powerful combo deck of all time. So we're going to give you guys a brief introduction about what the deck did historically, a little bit of a card by card discussion in the deck profile, and of course some of that sweet gameplay. So let's get right into it.
And he wished on a dragon scale, and that's what started Dragon Tales.
Dragons are one of, if not the most supported archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh history. Ever since the game's beginning, you'll have seen dragon decks come in and out of formats, whether it's Blue Eyes, Chaos Dragons with Future Fusion, Erratics, Dragoonity. The list really does go on and on for this archetype's competitive success. However, in 2018, a set by the name of Savage Strike would be released, and it changed Yu-Gi-Oh forever. You see, dragons have always had a ton of individually powerful cards. Think of stuff such as the baby Chaos Dragons, think of Destrudo, and think of all these generically powerful extra deck monsters such as Dragoonity, Gale Durg. However, they didn't really have a home enough to justify playing them all together. Thanks to Savage Strike, however, dragons turned from a group of rogue decks with their own unique identities into the homogeneous stew that we know it as today. You see, the guard dragons were a group of link monsters released in Savage Strike that allowed you to special summon dragons from a specific location to a monster zone that 2 or more link monsters pointed to. These locations included, Guard Dragon Pisty being able to special summon from the Banished Zone or the Graveyard, a very reasonable effect, and Elpie and Argapane being able to special summon from the extra deck. What the fuck? This support, alongside a slew of other dragon-related cards, trickled out over the course of time, such as Seyfert, Absarouter, Noctivision, Levianeer, World Legacy Guard Dragon, an entire fucking structure deck, Chaos Space, really all but guaranteed this deck's competitive success. And even now, in the TCG and in Master Duel, this deck comes in and out of formats as one of the most difficult, powerful, and rewarding decks of all time. And I cannot wait to show it off for you guys here. So, let's get into the card by card. First of all, I just want you guys to know this very clearly, that 99% of this deck list was stolen and adapted from Mike Thomas, aka Trishula TTV's recent top 16 LCS finish. This deck would not exist without him, and if you want to learn Dragon Link from someone who actually knows what the hell he's talking about, his channel will be in the description below. He has like over 1,000 hours in this deck. You could learn a language in that time. Anyways, we're going to go a bit slow because these cards require a lot of explanation. We're playing 3 Max E because it's Master Duel, 2 Siphon Gear Gamma, and the 1 Driver. Gamma is especially good in this deck because there are a lot of cards in our deck that fiend hand traps that don't require us to have a monster on board. Stuff such as Chaos Space, Quick Launch, and Dragon Reveal are especially good Ash Blossom and Max E bait, and if we are able to open the Gamma, we're basically completely set. We're playing 1 Effect Veiler and 1 Nibiru. This might not make any sense from a mathematical standpoint, but when you kind of look at the Chaos Dragon ruler math and the fact that we're able to just sort of draw into these cards off of Max E, it becomes a whole lot better and makes a whole lot more sense, as well as the fact that they're Chaos types, which is really neat. Let's get into the Rockets next. We're playing 2 Rocket Synchron. This card is a monster reborn for a level 5 or higher Dark Dragon in your graveyard, but it does lock you into Dark monsters for the rest of the turn after you use that effect. Keep that effect in mind because there are going to be some times where you will accidentally lock yourself out on if you're not really paying attention. This card is really critical for your Synchro lines, being a level 1 tuner in order to go into your Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. Next, we're playing 3 Rocket Tracer. This is a good card. Who would have guessed that, free specials are good. Quick effect, you can target 1 face-up card you control, destroy it, and then if you do, special summon 1 rocket monster from your deck, except Rocket Tracer. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except Dark monsters. That's a once per turn and a quick effect, and usually your target is going to be the Rocket Recharger in order to go into a Synchro 8. Rocket Recharger also has some neat synergy alongside Striker Dragon, being that you're able to use the effect of Striker Dragon to pop itself to add back Rocket Recharger, and then on a new chain, Rocket Recharger will be able to discard itself in order to more or less special summon any Dark Dragon from your graveyard. Really nice synergy in that, and is just sort of your one of the 2 to 3 Garnets that you're playing in this deck. For Extenders, we're playing 2 White Dragon Wyvern Buster and 2 Black Dragon Collapse Serpent. The Baby Dragon Chaos Dragons are absolutely insane. They're free specials, they add themselves, they're searchable, absolutely broken. Speaking of searchable, we are playing 3 Starter League's Favorite as our best normal summon. You contribute, you can send any number of Dragon Monsters from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard, add 1 Dragon Monster from your deck to your hand, whose level equals the total levels of those monsters sent to the graveyard. Basically, if you send a level 4 monster, you get to add a level 4 monster from your deck to your hand. You're going to be usually in most scenarios, going to be sending Seyfried itself in order to add a Wyvern Burster or a Collapse Serpent. Usually the Collapse Serpent, because the Collapse Serpent has the Banish of Light. You get the idea. And additionally, while it's in the graveyard, you can banish it and target 1 level 8 light or dark dragon monster in the graveyard and add it to your hand, and usually that's going to be the Chaos Dragon Levianeer. Anyways, back to the extenders. So playing 1 Destrudo as a Dragon Ravine Send and as a generically good extender. We're playing 1 Absolrator Dragon as a Dragon Ravine Send and a generically good extender. Usually going to be sending this 90% of the time off of the Ravine in order to get the Rocket Tracer, in order to turn your Rocket Boot Sector launch plays online. And we're playing 3 Noctovision Dragon. If a Dark Dragon monster is special summoned to your field, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if it's sent to the graveyard as a link material, draw 1 card. I don't think I need to explain why a free special that replaces itself is broken. Like, this shit's nuts. Anyways, we're playing 1 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. You can basically just treat this as a copy of Monster Reborn, and if you want to go into specific monster plays, such as you want to reborn a Rocket Recharger that you may need for a Synchro 8 or a Rocket Synchron for a Synchro 9, and 1 Chaos Dragon Levianeer. This card is broken, it's searchable off of Chaos Space, and you can send it off Dragon Ravine if you already have a Seyfried in there, if you really want to do that. And usually 99% of the time, you're either going to be using this to clean up boards or using its Dark Effect to shuffle a random card from your opponent's hand into the deck, basically looping them for 1. And usually that is really, really good. Who would have guessed that hand looping is broken? Anyways, we're playing 3 Chaos Space because our baby dragons are searchable off of this alongside the Chaos Dragon Levianeer. 1 Dragon Ravine as a search target off of Romulus. 1 Boot Sector Launch, which is critical for our Rocket plays and is searchable off of the Striker Dragon. 3 World Legacy Guard Dragon, a Monster Reborn, and a Zone Adjuster for stuff such as Pisty if we want to set up the proper zone, since we could just, move it to wherever the hell we want and have set up the link zone requirements super easily. And 3 Quick Launch, which special summons Rocket Tracer from the deck. This shit isn't even once per turn. Broken. Anyways, onto the extra deck. 1 Burled Savage Dragon. This is just a good all-around Synchro 8 negate. 1 Chaos Roar, the Chaotic Magical Dragon. This card is broken. If this card is Synchro Summoned, you can activate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can add a light or dark monster from your deck to your hand for that selection of 5 cards, and send the remaining cards to the graveyard. And additionally, you can banish a light and dark monster from your hand or graveyard, except itself, and special summon it from the graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. Usually, you're going to be going into this guy like 99% of the times to find a specific extender or to set up your graveyard, or to set up a Synchro 9 play for a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. It needs 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner Dark Dragon Synchro monster. Guess what the rest of our Synchro monsters are. And quick effect, you can target 1 face-up card your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of this turn. And it's a hard once per turn. But this card is especially good because it is more of a effect veiler rather than a Warlord Savage Dragon, being able that you're able to negate certain things mid-chain that your opponent might be trying to chain block for, which is really, really nice. Yeah, who'd have guessed? 1 number 68 Sandalphon the Sky Prison might kind of pale to me on this, but you kind of just want 1 generic rank 8 to play. And Sandalphon is kind of just like the funniest one. It's also a dark, so you could equip Buster Lock to it, I guess. Speaking of which, we're playing the 1 Dragon Buster Destruction Sword because we hate having fun. Who would have guessed? 1 Guard Dragon Pisty as a Guard Dragon card to revive shit. It's broken. 2 Striker Dragon. The second one comes up sometimes, and you might need it for a certain Rocket Recharger plays. If this card is link summoned, you can add 1 Boot Sector Launch from your deck to your hand. This is why we're only playing 1. And of course, you can target 1 face-up monster you control and 1 Rocket monster in your graveyard, usually itself and the Rocket Recharger in the graveyard. Destroy the monster on the field, and if you do, add the other monster from the graveyard to the hand. This is really good for grabbing specific cards you may need for certain extension plays or OTKs. 1 Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres. I heard this card is an FTK. 1 Crystron Halka Fibrax for certain link climbing plays. 1 Dragoonity Knight Romulus. This is in order to search out the Dragon Ravine. It's also got a special summon from hand effect, which is really, really neat in case we are trying to go into certain synchro boards. So if you want to summon out like like a rocket synchron, you can. That's funny, that's about it. Quad Boral Dragon is basically for OTK plays, where we can basically just use this as an extender, really neat. 1 IP Masquerena because it's a Dark Link 2, 1 Union Carrier because Buster Lock is very fun and healthy for the game, Nightmare Unicorn because IP Masquerena and it's a Dark, and Access Code Talker in order to OTK our opponents immediately. So, with that, let's get on to that sweet gameplay. So, our match today is going to be against the other dragon deck, Dragon Maid, and our hand is pretty good. We have a hand trap and we have enough extenders in order to go off into the moon. We're going to use Chaos Space to try and bait a hand trap. That's not going to grab anything, and we're going to grab the Legionnaire because we already have both baby dragons in rotation. We're going to summon Collapser, but we're going to use the effect of Chaos Space to try and draw into something nice. That draws into a Noctovision Dragon, which is very nice. We're going to go into the Link 1 Striker Dragon. Again, we haven't even committed our normal summon, and we basically got like 4 extenders. We're going to Chainlink 1 Striker Dragon to add Boot Sector, Chainlink 2 Black Dragon Collapse Serpent in order to add white, and Chainlink 3 Noctovision in order to special summon itself. Really powerful stuff just coming out. We are basically almost completely hand trap proof. We're going to add the white and grab the Boot Sector launch. We're now going to link 2 into Romulus, who is going to be able to grab ourselves a Dragon Ravine, which is essential for setting up our rocket lines. And more importantly, we're also going to get the Noctovision draw as Chainlink 1 and Romulus is Chainlink 2. So, Romulus is going to add ourselves the Dragon Ravine, and then Noctovision is going to draw us into World Legacy Guard Dragon, which is broken. Just in case our opponent has like a Nibiru or something, we're going to banish 3 for the Legionnaire, shuffle a card into their hand, and we're just going to hope for the best. We're going to use Dragon Ravine, send the Gamma because it's not really doing anything anymore, and sending Absolutor. Absolutely essential for our rocket plays because we need the Rocket Tracer search off of that. We're going to use Boot Sector Launch in order to special summon Rocket Tracer from hand. We're now going to be able to link summon the Guard Dragon Pisty to Romulus' zone, and thanks to the effect of World Legacy Guard Dragon, we're not only going to be able to get back the Rocket Tracer, but also move the Pisty to a zone where 2 or more Link monsters point to in order to trigger its effect, specialing back the Noctovision Dragon. Because Pisty Dragon locks us, we're going to get off the board using the Romulus and itself to go into Heretic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, absolutely insane card. And we're going to use Noctovision and the Legionnaire in order to go into Union Carrier to set up the Buster Lock before we Dark Lock ourselves. We're going to use Rocket Tracer, pop the World Legacy Guard Dragon. We're going to bring out Rocket Synchron because we wanted to go into a Synchro 9, and because we already have the level 4 extender in Wyvern Burster. We're going to go into Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magic Dragon. We're going to mischain this a little bit. We're supposed to go Chaotic Chainlink 1 and Wyvern Burst Chainlink 2 just in case we accidentally mill to Collapse Serpent, but we're just better. And off the top we find that's a really good one, Safer, and especially the Noctovision Dragon, which is amazing for follow-up plays. The Safer is going to be able to add back our Legionnaire for further follow-up plays or extension if we really want to. And we're going to get the Black Dragon Collapse Serpent out off of the white. We're going to Synchro the 1 and the 8 to go into Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. We're going to normal summon the Rocket Synchron. Again, we did all this without a normal summon. We're going to bring back the Absolutor Dragon. And now we're going to Synchro 8 using 1+7 to go into our Borreload Savage Dragon. And that is going to give us an additional negate on top of everything. We're going to target the Romulus, equip it. We're going to use the effect of Chaotic Ruler Guy in order to special summon itself, and we're actually going to equip it with the Buster Lock rather than another card, just so we don't put all our eggs into one basket and lose to like a Kaiju or something. We're going to add back the Legionnaire off of the Safer, and then we're going to pass it back to our opponent, who has a really big board to chew through. They're going to activate the effect of Pot of Prosperity. We let it go through because, again, we only want to save our negates for cards that directly answer the board. And they're going to find a Chamber Dragon Maid and some other cards that aren't really that good. The Solemn Strike's a little bit scary, but they end up adding the Lore Part because Lore Part sort of acts as a bad effect dealer. They're going to use the Lore Part, target our Savage. We're just going to negate it just because I don't want them to have fun. Lore Part is going to be negated because, again, if we didn't, it would have just been negated anyways. They're going to go for Chamber Dragon Maid. We don't care because what are they going to do? They're going to add downtime. They're going to go to the battle phase. They're going to use the effect of Chamber Dragon Maid, bounce itself back, go into Lorepar. Lorepar is going to try and swing over our seals. We're going to tribute the seals in order to bounce the Lorepar back to hand. And we're just going to summon out Destrudo for, again, follow-up plays. They're going to go for Hospitality, special summon out the Parlor Dragon Maid. That's going to try to Foolish Burial a card. We're going to just negate that with the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. It's become very, very clear that they don't have any sort of board breakers or equalizers. They're going to set to and pass, one of which is most likely the Hospitality. they're going to pass it back to us. Standby phase in main. We are going to go for the Union Carrier, equipping the Hot Red with Safer, because we can. Anyways, we're going to link 2 into the Nightmare Unicorn, just because we just kind of want to wrap this game up ASAP Rocky. We're going to use the effect of Nightmare Unicorn, discarding the Noctivision Dragon, spinning back the Parlor Dragon Maid. They're going to activate the effect of Tidying in order to bounce our guy. We are going to negate it with the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. They're going to use the effect of Dragon Maid Downtime, the card that we already knew that they added. We're going to Chain Link 5, negate the Dragon Maid Downtime, just so that they are completely dead in the water with no other options. Downtime's going to get negated. Very, very cool for us. Tidying is going to get negated. And Unicorn is going to be able to spin back the Parlor Dragon Maid. We're just going to immediately go into the battle phase, not trying to waste any time. Did you know the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss has another effect? Summons a tuner from the grave. That's just hilarious. And we're finally going to get in for the sweet, sweet 4,000 off of the Chaos Ruler. So what did we learn today, class? That future-proofing should definitely be implemented into games without set rotation? Yeah, probably. Let's get into the pros and cons. Pros. Number 1, this deck is consistent. It's kind of hard to call this deck consistent when you're basically running like 12 1-ups, but most hands basically do the same of being able to end on the same sort of boards. Again, it's sort of a puzzle to figure out how to do so, and no deck is more puzzling than Dragon Link. 2, this deck is powerful. It's an extremely powerful deck that's able to end on all sorts of dumb shit, whether it be floodgates, non-targeting bounces, flotation, hand trap searching off of Chaos Ruler, and the Buster Lock. Just absolutely incredible of what kind of boards this deck is able to put out. And 3, this is kind of underrated, but this deck is amazing at rebuilding. You'll see that in a ton of our games, or even in the game that we just showed, we had a ton of cards in our hands that acted as both extenders and playmakers in order to just go off on our opponent's turn, even if our board was completely disassembled. Again, note that most decks, if they are able to disassemble your board, they usually aren't able to set up their own board in the process, and you just being able to play with like 3 to 4 extenders on your opponent's turn 3 or 4 and just OTK them while they're just like sitting on like a big vanilla is basically really, really nice in that sort of facet. And the cons. 1, this should be very, very obvious, but holy fuck, this deck is really, really hard. I remember for the replay, Mike was literally in call just holding my hand, guiding me through the motions, because I would just keep ending on suboptimal boards, really shitty boards, messing up the plays, dark blocking myself, all these sorts of just really hidden effects that these cards have that you really have to be on the constant lookout. This deck is incredibly difficult, but again, it is incredibly rewarding once you figure out and master this sort of thing. 2, this deck doesn't have the greatest time playing through hand traps sometimes. Sometimes you're able to play through like Ash Blossom, Nibiru, Valor, Gamma, but sometimes you get ashed on like a Chaos ad and you kind of just lose the game. This deck obviously has ways of playing through hand traps, but just not consistently. And 3, this deck is pretty expensive. There are a lot of cards inside of Dragon Link that's not very universally transversable. When you look at most decks that are just generic staple piles, stuff like Ash Blossom, Call by the Grave, those cards are really good because they're able to be played in a ton of decks. However, Dragon Link requires a really specialized line of deck building. Stuff like Chaos Dragon, Levianeer, and Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss aren't always going to be the most available or splashable cards for 90% of decks. But overall, Dragon Link is an incredibly powerful deck. It's an incredibly rewarding deck, and it's an incredibly fun deck. I am in the process of learning this deck, actually, and it has just been a blast to try and figure out this 5x25 trillion Rubik's Cube puzzle of a deck. This deck is absolutely a blast, and if you want a real challenge to really challenge your understanding of Yu-Gi-Oh! And to be able to craft a board out of almost nothing and a new hand every single time, Dragon Link is what I would recommend for those extremely advanced players who want something fun and refreshing to try out. That's going to be it for me. I've been Stevie Blunder. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Give me your thoughts in the comment section down below. And that's going to be it for me. See ya.